he knows that the lower courts cannot carte blanche stop him, which hugely increases the power of the executive.
Yeah, look, this is a great week for him, not just because of this ruling, but earlier in the week, the Supreme Court handed him the ruling on being able to deport illegal immigrants to third-party countries, essentially. So he's on a little bit of a winning streak in the courts right now. And you know what a lot of Republicans are saying is, nope, we're not tired of winning yet. This happened. The stock market's at a record high. He brokered the ceasefire in the 12-day war. Peace broke out between Rwanda and the Congo. I mean, gas prices are at a 4-year low for the summer. I mean, win after win after win. And this particular one is the most important because these individual judges had been, I think, unfairly stopping the president from governing. He won the election. They didn't. We don't have 600 presidents. We have one president. And now he's going to be able to actually govern. And so you could make an argument that this week or the last 2 weeks, the best week or 2 weeks of his entire presidency.
I have to agree. Has been some of the best few weeks of his entire presidency. Stopped a few wars, inflation's down, the economy's booming, the big beautiful bill is finally about to get passed. I mean, he's been on a roll, man. He's been on an absolute tear.
Yeah, I think the things that are standing out to me are the gas prices, stock market, and the wars. Those are all things that if you polled Americans, they care about.
Absolutely.
So those are in the chat for Trump.
A foreign minister from Rwanda has told CNN, he said he's committed to supporting this ongoing negotiation, but warned that ending the conflict will depend on political will and the good faith. And he doesn't know if that is true, referring to the DRC's government. It's not done. It's not done.
You didn't watch the news yesterday. They literally announced it in the Oval Office.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is indeed a historical day because it's the signing of a peace agreement between Congo and Rwanda to end a conflict that has been going on for 30 years.
Let me ask you a question.
Literally in the Oval
Office.
Office.
Can I say something?
Friday afternoon.
You said something earlier. You said, and you kind of agree with Pete, when he says there's something about the media where they feel like they want to disprove Donald Trump. Is that what you said? Something to that effect?
Yeah, it happens every day.
And you think that's what they want to do, right? You think the
Yes.
media is going in to say he's lying and he's not telling the truth. Do you
Correct.
believe that?
That is the standing disposition.
Do you believe that he tells the truth?
Yeah, I do.
Every time?
You think
all presidents do
you
that?
think the
All
president
presidents?
tells the truth? This current president tells the truth often.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I also think that, to our point that we haven't established, he does announce things before it's too soon.
They literally had the
program is
countries
not
in there.
The program isn't.
I feel like you should watch the news before you come out here.
I feel like you should stop trying to defend him just to defend him.
I feel like you should watch the news.
She was getting riled up, man.
But she was wrong.
She was wrong. I mean, it's like they just want Trump to be like wrong so bad. Like you think that these black activists would be happy about a conflict in Africa being ended. Nope. But no, because Trump did it, you got to find something to be wrong with it.
Hold on. First, let's say this. Joe Biden didn't pick up nobody's phone call when they was talking about all these problems.
Yeah. You don't see them mad at Joe Biden.
Not at all.
They said that war in the Congo and Rwanda been going on for 30 years.
30 years.
Obama
Millions of people have been misplaced from it.
Why aren't they talking about that?
Oh, because Trump.
She goes on here and goes as far as to say, the deal isn't done. He hasn't done it yet. When he's literally done it.
There was actually a whole genocide. At this point, I don't even know what these people want.
Nah, but they just virtue signal and make people think that they care about stuff and like that they have higher moral character than everybody else, but they really don't. It's fake.
Yeah.
Trump is having a moment. I'm Michael Smerconish in New York City. The first 5 months of Trump 2.0, they're in the books. I'm not shy about voicing my disagreement here with President Trump or doing so on radio. Often, whether it's trade, border control, Iran, I find myself agreeing with the goal, but not the approach. But viewed objectively, I have to say that Donald Trump has just had the best week or best 10 days of his second term.
Hey.
I'm still not sure bombing Iran was warranted. As I said last week, I'd have liked to have seen the evidence of Iran being on the nuclear doorstep rather than take Prime Minister Netanyahu's word for it, especially in the face of what DNI Tulsi Gabbard had testified in March and what Trump himself was saying right up until Israel launched its strike against Iran. But the mission was carried out with stealth and with precision. There were no American casualties. And while Congress is divided after receiving briefings on the extent of the damage, I'm sure that we've derailed Iran's nuclear program, at least temporarily. And there's some valuable deterrent effect for America's adversaries who witnessed last week's exercise. Then, last Tuesday, President Trump left the White House en route to Europe. At the time, there was a question as to whether Israel and Iran would honor a ceasefire. That caused the president to offer the most unfiltered, non-controversial, direct words that I can recall anybody ever saying about the Middle East.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Cut to The Hague, where he arrived for NATO meetings and was able to wrangle an agreement from our allies to more than double their defense spending target from 2% of gross domestic product to 5% by 2035. Also, while at NATO, in a press availability, he did something rare for Trump and I found rewarding. He showed empathy. It came in an exchange with a Ukrainian journalist who said that her husband was a soldier. She asked whether the U.S. would supply her country with Patriot missiles.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Well,
and
I can see you're very, it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He is.
He's there now. They do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay?
Also in that presser, he was more reflective and respectful than usual of our allies.
They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help them protect their country.
Back at home, Trump claimed that he's reached a trade deal with China and soon expects the same with India. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told Bloomberg that the deal was signed earlier this week. China's Commerce Ministry said Friday the two sides had further confirmed the details of the framework. Of course, Trump's initial imposition of tariffs wreaked havoc on American markets back in the spring. But now the markets have rebounded and grown. The S&P 500, NASDAQ hit record highs just yesterday. And it's not just the stock market. Inflation, the great economic fear of recent times, seems to be tamed. The rate is now reported at 2.4%, down from a high of 7% just 4 years ago. Meanwhile, blue-collar workers have seen real wage growth of 1.7% in Trump's first 5 months. This is the largest such increase in nearly 3 generations. Notwithstanding its impact on our national debt, there's also hope among some that Trump's big, beautiful bill will give further financial relief to blue-collar workers, as well as create incentives to build more factories in the U.S. Some already see this happening. For instance, General Electric has just announced that it'll invest almost $500 million in moving production of washing machines from China to Kentucky. Wow. And then there's the border. Crossings have slowed to a trickle. According to CBP's May update, Southwest border encounters have fallen to about 282 a day, a drop of 93% from last year and the lowest since the early 1960s. Perhaps the loudest cheering for those border numbers is coming from America's Latino community, which might initially sound counterintuitive. On Thursday, Pew Research released an enormous data analysis of the 2024 election, which contained several surprises. High on that list, President Trump won a bigger percentage of the Latino vote than previously believed. Hillary Clinton had a 38% lead over Trump among Hispanics in 2016. Joe Biden beat Trump in this demo by 25 percentage points. Kamala Harris's margin among these same voters over Trump? Just 3 points. Even more surprising, perhaps, Pew Research concludes that if everyone had voted in 2024, contrary to the widely held belief that higher turnout helps Democrats, Trump would still have won. Damn. The data show 44% of non-voters said that they would have gone for Trump compared to 40% of non-voters who would have gone for Harris. So if more had voted, his margin would have grown.
Damn.
Yesterday came a huge decision from the Supreme Court. The High Court declared that federal district judges exceeded their authority when issuing nationwide injunctions against Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. This will, of course, strengthen executive power both for Trump and for his successors. And finally, a Democratic socialist just won the nomination for mayor of New York City. And perhaps you're wondering, well, how does that affect Trump? It gives him the perfect foil, someone to play off in future political battles. This morning's New York Post references campaign literature for Zohran Mamdani, which advocates for increased taxation for, quote, richer and whiter neighborhoods. Just imagine what Trump will do with that. Winning became a punchline that Trump's opponents used to lampoon him in his first administration. He was a political novice then, surrounded by a team with which he was unfamiliar, and he was probably as surprised as the rest of us were that he won the election. This time is different. This time he came with a plan and a cabinet with senior advisors comprised of loyalists all well known to the president. And recently, he's exhibited a more layered approach to governing on both the domestic and international front, no longer solely guided by winning each day's news cycle. By any objective measure, President Trump has his opponents on the run.
Wow.
That's facts.
Wow. That is the most positive thing I have ever in my life heard CNN say about Donald Trump.
I agree.
By far.
Other than Scott, yeah.
Well, he don't even count. We know him.
Yeah.
I'm talking about on these panels where it's just one person talking like this. I was like, is this?
Well,
is this Fox? Are we on Fox News?
Well, I mean, listen. So he has to acknowledge the facts. The
numbers.
The proof is in the pudding.
What poll was that, bro? I need to look that up and send that to some people,
The
bro.
polls on the voters, non-decided voters, they still would have voted Trump. He still would have spanked that ass. He said he killed it at NATO. He was empathetic, and he showed respect to our allies. And he's seen huge growth in the NASDAQ and the S&P. And he got a new opponent to play on with the Muslim socialists and jobs. Damn.
And you know what's
You
funny?
cannot make me
Stop wars.
You will never make me regret my vote. Never, ever.
Bro, you know what's funny? All the things that they complained about that he was doing in the beginning, what? The tariffs. Look what he's doing to the stock market. Iran, he's bombing Iran. The stock market's back. The wars are ended. Boom!
They might need to get him the Nobel
Hey, bruh.
Peace
I
Prize.
ain't
He's
gonna
got
lie.
the Nobel Peace Prize.
I ain't gonna lie. Trump, bruh, he doing what he said he was gonna do.
He's
bro.
doing
He
exactly
did.
what he said he's going to do.
I've never seen a politician ever do this before.
What I've learned is even through the election, you just have to let it play out with Trump. We just have to trust him. Like
You got a plan.
We trusted him this far. You just have to let it play out. That's all you have to do. Like, don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the panic. Don't listen to the fear. Don't listen to any of that bull.
Wait for the numbers.
Wait for Trump to do what Trump do and let it play out. It always plays in our favor.
You know, border crossings are at a record low. Do you give the Trump administration some credit for that? And are you, when you look at those figures, do you think things are moving in the right direction, at least in that regard, Senator?
No, I don't give them credit for that because border crossings are low because they're violating the law every day. So we have a law in this country that says if you are fleeing terror or torture from another country, you can come here and apply for asylum. The Trump administration has suspended that law. They are not allowing anybody to come here to apply for asylum. We wrote that bipartisan bill last year to reform the asylum process, to make sure that only the right people are coming in and that we judge those cases expeditiously at the border. So it's true, there are very few people crossing on a daily basis, but that's because the Trump administration is violating the law. And it should matter to every American that on so many facets, the Trump administration doesn't care about the law. This is becoming a lawless administration. We are on a road to see our democracy atrophy to the point that it will be unrecognizable. And the border is just one example of many ways in which this administration doesn't care about the law anymore.
The Democratic Party hates America. I saw a poll today on Twitter. They polled people. Do you feel proud to be American? Republicans, 92%. Democrats, 35%. The proof is there.
Yes.
They hate America.
They do.
Their elected officials hate America. Oh my gosh, they're violating the law by not letting people come here illegally. You just want voters because you know your time is up, buddy. We don't want them here. The American people have spoken. We voted for this. We voted for the border to be closed. The border is effectively closed, and you bitching and crying about that.
Why we don't have the logic to help their country actually be sustainable so they can actually just live in their country? What make their country great by not overly investing, but let them at least establish a good government?
That's not our problem.
We trying though. They're working with the Mexican government. They was doing that. El Salvador.
I want y'all to know something.
El Salvador.
I want y'all to know
changed
something.
it.
I want y'all to know something. It's not America's job to establish democracy across the world. That's how we've got all these army bases and all these things in the plight of democracy across the world. And we've actually destabilized some countries. What we should do is focus on America and fix the problems in America and stop listening to all this BS about letting people here, letting people stay, and fix the problems here. We need mass deportations. We need to fix all these domestic problems that we have, and let them other countries figure out their own shit. Same way we can do it.
See, the thing
It's
is,
going to end
though,
up coming to backfire anyways.
How's it gonna backfire?
Because they're coming here because they're fucked up right now.
But they can't come here because Trump. It's shut down. You can't come.
That-
Too
I ain't
bad,
gonna lie.
so sad.
in other cases, like in most cases, you know, I would say that I would be for like people in trouble, but they let in 10 million last year, bro.
Yeah.
the last 4 years.
That's
So,
plenty for the next 10
so
years.
like 10 million, you can't let 10 million undocumented people into any country. That does not work. And then on top of that, Mexico specifically, like guys, just look up the numbers. I think they have like some of the top 5 most dangerous cities in the world, all there. It's too. I'm sorry to say, but I don't think we could. They said they have as many people in the Mexican cartel employed percentage-wise as Americans do in Walmart.
Walmart's everywhere.
How many people work at Walmart?
A lot.
How many of y'all worked at Walmart? I bet a lot of y'all. If this was Mexico, a lot of y'all would have been in the cartel.
That's crazy.
We can't just. I'm not trying to be mean or what is the word again? What do they call it?
Xenophobic.
I'm not trying to be xenophobic, but these are stats.
We gotta keep
These
it
are
100
stats.
though. We gotta keep it 100 though. When you import people from the third world, you become the third world. You're bringing them here. They don't have our values. They don't have our identity.
It's just
They're
different
not
out there.
American. So they're just gonna come here and bring the third world here, do what they know, and we just supposed to be okay with it. Oh, because he comes from a rough place. Shit, it's people in the hood coming from a rough place. It's people in them trailer parks come from a rough place.
Well,
It's people
technically-
living on the street come from a rough place. Hey, what about them? What about them? What about them? They're American citizens. They are more important to me than asylum seekers. Sorry, and I'll die on that hill. Not trying to be xenophobic, guys. I just care about America. I'm American first.